There used to be a version of meatloaf that showed up on American tables all the time. Not the plain kind, not the ketchup-glazed version you might think of today, but heavily spiced meatloaves, dense, flavorful, sliced cold and served across multiple meals. They were practical, common, expected. And now, they're almost gone. Not because they tasted bad, not because people got tired of them, but because the reason they existed disappeared. Here's the thing. Spiced meatloaves weren't about taste. They were about stretching meat. So what happened? Why were spiced meatloaves once a staple? And why did they quietly fade away? The answer isn't about recipes changing. It's about society becoming wealthier. And once that happened, we stopped needing them. If transformations like this make you curious, hit subscribe, because this is about what disappears when scarcity does. Let's start with the reality that shaped these dishes. Meat wasn't always abundant. For most families, even into the mid-20th century, meat was expensive. You didn't eat it every day. You didn't eat it in large portions. You bought what you could afford, and then you made it last. A pound of ground beef, a small roast, some sausage. That had to feed a family, not just for one meal, but for several. So you couldn't just cook it plain and serve it all at once. You had to stretch it, add something to it, mix it with other ingredients, make it go further than it naturally would. That wasn't being cheap. That was being smart. Because if you ran out of meat halfway through the week, you didn't have a backup plan. There was no running to the store for more, no quick meal from the freezer. You had what you had, and spiced meatloaves solved that problem. They took a small amount of meat and turned it into something that could feed people multiple times. Not extravagantly, but adequately. Spiced meatloaves weren't a creative choice. They were a scarcity solution, and as long as meat was expensive and portions had to be managed carefully, they made perfect sense. Now, let's talk about the spices, because that's what made these meatloaves different. They weren't lightly seasoned. They were heavily spiced. Pepper, cloves, allspice, nutmeg, sometimes sage or thyme. Strong flavors, bold flavors. And today, that might seem like overkill, like someone trying too hard. But back then, spices weren't decoration. They were a strategy. First, spices could mask flavors. When meat wasn't perfectly fresh, or when you were using cheaper cuts or scraps, or bits that didn't taste great on their own, spices helped. They covered up. They balanced. They made things edible that might not have been appealing otherwise. Second, spices make small amounts of meat feel like more. When you're stretching a pound of beef with bread and vegetables and eggs, the meat flavor gets diluted. But if you add strong spices, suddenly the whole loaf tastes rich, flavorful, substantial. It tricks your palate into thinking you're eating something more generous than you actually are. Spices weren't a luxury. They were leveraging, a way to make less feel like more. And in a world where meat was scarce and expensive, that mattered. Spices were a strategy, not indulgence, but spices were only part of the strategy. The real stretching happened with fillers, breadcrumbs, oats, crackers, cooked rice, onions, carrots, celery, bell peppers, eggs, to bind it all together. These weren't add-ons. They were the foundation. In a traditional spiced meatloaf, the meat was maybe half the mixture, sometimes less. The rest was everything else. And that was intentional. Because a pound of ground beef on its own might feed 4 people for one meal. Barely. But mix that same pound with bread, vegetables, and eggs. Now you've got enough for 6 people, or 4 people across 2 meals. The meat was still there. You could still taste it. It was still protein. But it wasn't the whole story anymore. It was one part of a larger whole. And because everything was mixed together, cooked together, spiced together, it didn't feel like you were eating less meat. It just felt like meat loaf. The fillers weren't filler in the bad sense. They were extensions, amplification, a way to take what you had and make it enough. And in a household where enough was always the goal, that approach wasn't a compromise. It was a necessity. Meat was a part, not the whole. And then there's the shape itself, the loaf, which might seem obvious. It's called meatloaf after all, but the loaf shape wasn't arbitrary, it was practical. When you form meat into a loaf, you create something that's easy to slice, easy to portion, easy to serve across multiple meals. You'd bake it, let it cool, slice what you need for dinner, and then the rest? It went into the icebox, cold sliced meatloaf for lunch the next day, maybe sandwiches, maybe served alongside eggs for breakfast. The loaf shape made it last. It also made it fair. When you're feeding a family and resources are tight, you can't have some people getting more meat than others. But when everything is formed into a uniform loaf and sliced evenly, everyone gets the same amount. No arguments, no resentment, just equal portions. And because it held together when cold, thanks to the eggs, the gelatin from any connective tissue, the density of the mixture, it stayed sliceable. You didn't need to reheat it. You could just cut and serve. Loaf wasn't just a shape. It was efficiency, storage, portioning, multiple meals from one dish. All of that was baked into the form itself. The loaf was logical. So, when did spiced meatloaves start to fade? When society became wealthier. Not overnight, not dramatically, but gradually, through the mid to late 20th century, meat became cheaper, more available, more abundant. Families could afford to buy meat more often, in larger quantities, and once that happened, the math changed. The whole reason you made a spiced meatloaf was to stretch a small amount of meat across multiple meals. But if meat wasn't scarce anymore, if you could afford to serve chicken one night, pork chops the next, ground beef the night after that, then why mix it with bread and vegetables? Why portion it carefully? Why make it last 3 days? Why not just cook the meat and serve it? Whole chicken, individual steaks, burgers. Stretching meat started to look like a compromise, like something you did when you couldn't afford the real thing. And once people had the option to skip that step, they did. Not because spiced meatloaves tasted bad, but because they were no longer necessary. Wealth gave people choice. And once you don't have to stretch, why would you? The meals that were built for scarcity couldn't survive abundance, because abundance changed what people expected food to be. Not enough, but plenty. But it wasn't just about quantity. The flavor profile changed, too. As meat became more abundant and higher quality, people started wanting simpler flavors. They wanted to taste the meat itself. Not a heavily spiced mixture, not a blend of textures and fillers. Just meat. Clean, mild, recognizable. A grilled steak, a roasted chicken, a plain burger. The less you did to it, the better. And heavily spiced meatloaves didn't fit that new aesthetic. They were too bold, too complex, too much. People started associating heavy spicing with covering something up, with making do, with old-fashioned cooking that came from necessity, not choice. And the loaf format itself started to feel outdated. Individual portions became the norm, a piece of meat for each person, plated separately, not a communal loaf sliced at the table, not something that sat in the fridge for days. That felt less elegant, less modern. So spiced meatloaves faded, not because they stopped working, but because they stopped fitting. They belonged to a world where you stretched, mixed, and made things last, and the new world didn't ask for that anymore. It asked for simplicity, abundance, individual servings, and spiced meatloaves couldn't deliver that, so they quietly disappeared. So here's what really happened to spiced meatloaves. They didn't fail. They lost their purpose. Because the entire point of a spiced meatloaf was to solve a problem. How to make a small amount of meat feed a family across multiple meals. And once that stopped being a problem, the solution stopped making sense. You didn't need to stretch the meat anymore. You didn't need to mask flavors or add fillers or portion carefully. You could just buy more meat. And once you could, spiced meatloaves started to feel like relics, like something your grandmother made, something from a harder time, not something you'd choose if you had other options. And that's the pattern we keep seeing. Foods that were built for scarcity don't survive abundance, not because they're worse, but because abundance redefines what good food means. It's no longer about making things last. It's about having choices, variety, plenty. And in that world, spiced meatloaves couldn't compete. They were too tied to the logic of less, and once less stopped being the reality, they lost their place. They didn't fail. They just lost their reason to exist. Spiced meatloaves didn't disappear because people stopped liking them. They disappeared because society stopped needing them, and that's the story we keep finding. When scarcity fades, the foods built for scarcity fade with it. Liver, tripe, mutton, head cheese, organ meats, spiced loaves. None of them failed. None of them became unsafe or unpleasant. They just stopped solving problems people actually had. Because once you can afford to buy what you want, when you want it, you stop choosing foods designed to make less feel like more. You stop stretching. You stop mixing. You stop rationing. And the meals that helped people survive harder times, they quietly disappear. Not because they were bad, but because abundance rewrites the rules. And under the new rules, necessity foods don't make sense anymore. Spiced meatloaves weren't failures. They were solutions to a problem we no longer have. If this kind of story resonates, hit subscribe. We're mapping what disappears when scarcity does. And comment, what food disappeared the moment we stopped needing to stretch it? I'll see you in the next one.